Hey, what's up, guys? I just want to thank everyone that viewed the first commentary for the book, Priceless, my novel. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I believe it was about 100 views within 2 days on YouTube. I'm not sure how many people viewed it on Facebook, but I did get some questions, and they were valid questions about what I discussed. I'm going to go down the line and read about three. I picked three of them because I felt as though these three stood out to me. And the first question is, why name the book Priceless? And that was a really good question. It took me some time to come up with the name because the events that take place in the book are true events. It's nothing, a team of people didn't sit down with me and say, hey, I want you to write about something and I want you to talk about a relevant topic and make up some things and put it into a book. No. These events that occurred in these people's lives actually occurred in real life. And I tried to stick to the truth to make sure that I didn't divert from the real event, and also I wanted to make sure that I kept a line of confidentiality between me and the individuals who are in my life. So that is why I named the book Priceless, because you can't pay anyone to write about these things. These are real topics that actually happen to real people. So it's priceless, and that's the name that I came up with. The next question is the character Sasha, is she a real person? And that's funny because the person that asked this actually went to high school with me, and there was a girl that was in my English class in high school in the 12th grade named Sasha. And some of you guys may know her. I believe she goes by Miss Sasha now. And she was in that Wale joint, Beautiful Girls video. She was in that one. But unfortunately, no, I didn't parallel the character in my book Sasha to her life because I generally don't know, pretty much anything about her post high school. I have a small story about her though during high school. Sasha is a beautiful girl. The real Sasha in real life is a beautiful girl. And in high school, I had the upper advantage. Everyone tried to talk to her. All the guys wanted to talk to her, but for me, I had the upper advantage because she sat right next to me in English. So, throughout the day, she was very fly. Me, I was fly. I had my North Faces and, at the time, Hobo. I used to wear Aja Armani, these DC designers, and I was fly too. So we used to talk about style and stuff, and, we got a little bond. We had a little bond between one another in that class. And at the time also, I don't know if you guys remember the Nextales. I had every Nextale that came out, because, I had to think I was somebody. But I had every Nextale that was out. And at the time, those Nextales during the early 2000s, the deposit for them joints was like $1,000. You had to pay $1,000 security deposit to get the Nextale service. Then you had to pay another $200 to actually get the phone. And I had it. But this phone I had was the 730, and everybody wanted one, but they were selling out like crazy, but I had one. And I was over it. I was over the 730. I wanted to go on to the next great thing that they was coming out with. So, and I think it was only one other guy in the whole school that had the 730, the i730, because it was color, and I believe he was a hustler. But I had it, and she wanted the phone so bad. So me trying my hand with her, I'm thinking I'm gonna, ease my way into the situation. I was like, all right, what's up? I sold this joint to you for $100, mind you, $1,000 deposit, $200 phone. But I was like, I sold this joint to you for $400. She was like, what? Really? She was so excited. The next day, she gave me the $100, and I sold it to her. So we exchanged numbers, and about a week later, she was over me. So she was over me. My whole idea didn't even work. I sold the phone to her for $100, but she was a good person. She was beautiful. She was classy, just like the girl in my book named Sasha. But no, I didn't create Sasha's character based off of the real Sasha that I knew. No, actually my mom anticipated a girl with me, and she was stuck between two names, Sade, based on the singer Sade, and Sasha. And I picked Sasha for my book because Sasha just stands out. You know, Beyonce blew it up with the Sasha Fierce and everything. And the Sasha in my book is kind of similar to her. So, no. Miss Sasha from DC. Her name is Miss Sasha. I believe that's what she's going by now. No, that's not the Sasha in my book. And the next question someone asked me was, what do you know about the street life? And that's a really good question, because, you know, people that know me would never think that, you know, I actually witnessed some of these things or went through some of the things that I discussed in the book, or they wouldn't even think that I was about that life. Let me break it down to you and give you a little background and history of my family. My grandfather and our side of the Lattisaws, we lived in Northeast Kenilworth, Douglas Street. If you know about anything about DC, you know what time it is over there in Kenilworth. Stacy Lattisaw, my cousin and the famous singer from DC, Stacy Lattisaw, and her father, my Uncle Jerome, they lived on the southeast side. But my family, we came from the northeast side. So my grandfather, he came into a large bit of money back then. It was large, and he moved the entire family to Palmer Park. If you're from DC, you know what time it is with Palmer Park. And that's when I came about. I lost 2 uncles to the street in Palmer Park. But I came along because my mom, she was a young single mother, and she stayed in the Palmer Park area. After she had me, she moved to Bellhaven Apartments. And I think they changed the name to Summer Ridge now, but that's over there still in the Kentland, Palmer Park area. Roaches everywhere. You know, sometimes my mother didn't eat to provide for me. It was just me and her. Just us two. Nobody else was there. So my mother, people don't understand the closeness I have with my mother, because she gave up so much and she did so much for me, you know, when she had me. She could have threw me in the trash can, be it as though that she was a young mother. But the God in her allowed her to persevere through her struggle and through her pain to take care of me. So you can call me a mama's boy. That don't faze me, because I know what my mother went through in order for me to be here today. So from that point, after, you know, Bellhaven, you know, my mom, she was single. It was just me and her for a short period of time. And then, you know, my stepdad, and we moved to Forestville. Anybody know about the DC area? You know what time it is in Forestville. We moved there. Then shortly after my little brother was born, we moved to Temple Hills. Anybody from DC? They know what time it is in Temple Hills. So through those years, I experienced and I was exposed to so many things. I'm gonna back up a little bit. When my mother went back to work after she had me, my great-grandmother raised me a small portion of my life, and she lived in Northwest. And I used to play at Kennedy Playground. It was around it's off of 7th Street, and now it's a rec center. But I used to play there at Kennedy Playground. I remember, I can see it in my mind right now. I remember used condoms on the ground around the playground. I remember used drug needles, open drug needles. I was playing around that, swinging on the swing set, walking on the rocks over there. I remember smelling the piss from the homeless people that used to piss in the sprinkler section, and it was a tunnel. There was a tunnel that you could walk through. I believe you could get to O Street Market from that point, from 7th. It was a tunnel over there. I remember walking through that tunnel, seeing homeless people laying on the ground, smelling the piss from them. So, you know, I've been through something. I've seen it all. It was nothing but God that, you know, I didn't pick up that used condom and, you know, touch my mouth, or pick up that used drug needle and stick myself. Only God saved me from that as a little boy, 6, 7 years old. So, you know, I'm just grateful and I'm thankful that I can share some of those experiences in my book. And then later on in life, I moved to Southeast. I lived in Southeast by myself, a young man, 20 years old, living in Southeast by himself. You can just imagine that situation. I lived there for about 3 years, and I pretty much lost everything when I moved to Southeast. It was the toughest time I ever dealt in my entire life. Someone robbed me. They broke into my apartment and they took almost everything that I had. So I don't have to sell drugs, or I don't have to kill anybody or rob anybody to say I know about that life. I've experienced it, and I just want to make sure that I reach these young guys and these young girls and tell them that your surroundings don't define you. I've lived in the hood. I've lived in the ghetto. I know what it's like. But if you saw me on the street today, you would never think that I went through these things. So just because you're from the ghetto or just because you lived in the ghetto, that doesn't mean that you are ghetto. And it doesn't mean that you have to stay there. I want you guys to read the book because the issues are relevant. They're so real and it's so relevant, and I can't stress it enough. I can't wait till it finally comes out for you guys to get, because it's so relevant. So again, I thank you guys for viewing my commentary. The first commentary, you know, it was about 90 visits on YouTube, and that's pretty good for somebody or nobody like me, for people to actually sit down and want to hear what I have to say. It's a blessing. So I thank you guys, and tune in. I'm going to make sure that I put this book out for you guys to go get. So I thank you. I can't thank you enough.